Hey everybody, welcome to the Twisted Cat Outdoors podcast, where we give you information on tournaments, events, everything in the catfishing world, bringing you value, tips and tricks, things that you can do out there on the water. Let's get this show started.
I think I just set a Twisted Cat Outdoors 3-fish record.
Hey everybody, welcome Monday night, September 22nd. Man, this year has flown by. Hopefully everybody can hear me and excited for the show tonight. Before we bring our special guest, one of my good buddies in, just real quick, this past weekend we had our Stop 10 Twisted Cat Outdoors out of New Madrid, Missouri. 43 teams. We got everything posted on the Facebook page. We'll have the video recap of it here up pretty soon. But an awesome event. Our next event will be October 4th, the Alton Catfish Classic in Alton, Illinois. And then we're going to be going to Savannah, Tennessee, October 11th. And October 25th will be the last season event, Keystone Lake in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And then we're going to the championship. If you make it, the top 50 anglers will be invited to that no entry fee $25,000 championship in Morgan City. November, which will be a 2-day this year, November 7th and 8th. So that is an awesome place to fish. And the points are updated, so make sure you go to the website and or the Facebook page. We just posted all the points. And if you have any questions about tonight, I don't know where this show is going to lead, but it's going to be fun. But without further ado, let's bring in my good buddy, Mr. Dieter, or Captain Dieter Melhorn.
You didn't call me Catfish Dave, so I'm very.
I didn't know Catfish Dave.
So was that on purpose, or was that a Freudian slip, or what was the deal with that?
Oh no, it was on purpose. It was just to have fun.
Okay.
Listen, I used to be the class comedian, believe it or not. I was best dressed, which that's kind of went out. Like I used to gel my hair every day, and I was the class comedian or whatever. So, you know, it's hard because some people can't, especially on social media. Some people can't take maybe my dry humor or my sarcasm sometimes. So I got to be careful being too funny. But I'm sure did you not know which way I was going if it was a joke?
I figured it was a joke. And by the way, I invite anybody to go to catfishdave.com to check it out, catfishdave.com and just see what that's about. But and do that after you get off, Alex.
I will.
No, I figured you were joking. You had editorial control to delete that video if it was wrong. So there you go. And I have a very thick skin. I am not like some people that go into a whining fit. So what is the male equivalent of a Karen, by the way?
That, you know what? I do not know. Does anybody know what that is? Because that's a good question. That's a really good question. You don't know what it is?
No, I don't. I was just curious. I didn't know if it was a Ken or a Dave or a Dan or something like that. So anyway, a Darren rhymes with Karen.
There's no single universally accepted term for the male equivalent of a Karen, though many names are suggested online, including Terry, Kevin, Greg, Brad, Donald, or Todd.
Okay, they're very good. Very good. Good.
But they still call a male Karen. So yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
There you go. All right. Man, when you said you didn't know where this podcast was going tonight, you never thought we'd be off on that tangent. So
no, I don't know. Just to give people that are watching a little bit of backstory. So we did this a year ago or so.
Yeah. And
we talked about, I think that you were questioning, where is tournaments going? Where is catfishing going? Is it stagnant? Is it growing? Is it declining? Yeah. And that's kind of where that was a really good podcast. And then I finally hey, me and you need to get back on and talk. And I think I completely spaced, and we were going to do it last Monday night. And then I was out of town and really just kind of got back on it today. If people are wondering, we just got on it like 4 minutes before 7. Haven't talked today. Literally don't know what we're talking about. We're just going to talk. And usually that's the best podcast when you just roll with it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think what got you sparked or whatever on doing this was some of the comments I made about the Megabucks tournament and that word professional angler, professional catfish tournament angler. It's a trigger word. It's a trigger term, I should say. And I think that might have been the catalyst initially to get old Dieter on there and let's talk about some stuff in the tournament world.
Yeah, that's good. And I think it was a good comment that you made to kind of get us back from where we were a year ago, talking about is the industry growing, where it's going, and all that. And I was MC with Jeremy Coe on the stage for that. Also MC'd last year at Megabucks. And it's tournaments, and you talk about who's the best angler. Do we have professional anglers? And that word does get thrown around a lot, and I hate that word because it's a professional is a tough way to go when you start calling an angler that, especially I think in catfishing, because we don't have anybody that's making money. We don't have people that I can hand a mic to that can talk on the mic with me. So, I mean, there's a lot of, we just haven't got to that spot yet. I want to get there. I think we'll get there. Maybe if Rhett takes over where I'm at down the road, maybe that's where it goes. But like I said, I really enjoy that tournament. A big thing that I'm pushing for, even like with my last tournament in New Madrid, huge crowds, spectators watching, kids. The anglers are starting to throw shirts and koozies and give rods out and stuff like that. But the biggest thing is, what makes an angler a professional? Not the pro staff thing. Oh my gosh. I think anglers are people that are pro staff. I've got some pro staff people on Rippin' Lips. I've got, the CR pro staff. That doesn't mean you are a professional. It's literally promotional. And that's, I like to even say, promotional staff. You know what I mean? And that gets around a lot too. So,
yeah, professional angler is kind of this nebulous term that there's no definition for. I mean, you can look up what the IRS definition of a professional is, and whether you're making money or not. The separation between a hobby and a business, if it's actually on the business end. But it's I don't know. I don't know that it's changed that much from when I made that, when we had that original conversation. I think things have kind of stayed the same. I think I hate to use the word stagnant, but it's kind of the same old. I don't know that too much. I do find that the big Megabucks tournament is interesting. That is cool to see that kind of money come into a tournament. Now it's a one-off tournament. If that was the whole series, then all of a sudden, we're knocking on the door of a Bassmaster MLF type deal.
I think that's growing the entry. The higher entries, getting people more serious traveling. So Twisted Cat, obviously, I don't want to use the word grassroots. I mean, it's a $300 entry, but in New Madrid, we drew 11 states. That means 11 states were represented for a 43 boat tournament in New Madrid. Now you compare that to the bass world on a level of a Twisted Cat Outdoors, and it's 2 states, maybe a 3-hour radius max. So it's a lot different comparing them. It's not really comparing apples to apples. Look at some of the hate that was thrown we settled in a long time, Liz and I, talking about, do we take Bama Blues? We took it. George didn't want to do it. He asked if we wanted to take it over. Kind of kept the same rules, the same format. Had a successful 105 boats. Probably 20 went home with the bad weather. But I thought, this is our 11th year. We've got some history. Let's take one event and raise the entry. We've had a lot of people asking, raise the entry on one. Let's, see how it goes. So, it's September 22nd. We have 50 boats registered for a $1,000 tournament. That's more than I thought we would already have had. So I think we'll hit 100 boats there. And that's just, like I said, that's our first event that we're kind of stepping in that direction. But I don't want to get away from this $300 entry because it's still where kind of that grassroots is, and everybody can still afford to fish it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm actually surprised. I thought y'all would have filled up the roster already for that tournament. Now, there's probably a weather thing too. Do you have a deadline for entry? Is there like a
no, just 100 boat cap? But really after COVID, right around the year after COVID, I guess was the last year that I would say, like, MRM sold out, Alton Classic sold out. We had a lot of sellout events. 100 boats, 150 boats. Bama Blues would sell out. Now we're going to, a lot of people are paying a late fee and not registering until, I think we had 7 boats when we went to New Madrid and ended up with 43. So, I mean, a lot of people are not pre-registering like they used to. I think that they're holding on to their money longer. But that whole industry has changed a little bit on registration stuff. So I'm pretty confident that we'll hit 100 boats in Bama Blues. But yeah, the selling it out 10 months out is that stuff's kind of gone away.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I thought it would have sold. It'll be interesting to see how it goes. I don't know if it's a good thing or not. I think, as I think I may have said in one of the podcasts, I do think that it starts to create a wider divide between the haves and the have-nots. And
is that a good or bad thing? And who are the haves and the have-nots?
Yeah, well, the haves are the ones that have the money to pay that to afford to enter. And if you look across, a lot of those guys are self-employed or have had a business, work for themselves. They have some kind. There's not a guy, usually there's not that many guys working at a factory that are going to be able to, one, take off the time to do it and, be out there for multiple days. So, and then you jack up the entry fee, it takes a little bit more money. I think it's great for, well, your company you work for, Sea Arc. It's great for them because I think that suits their their anglers that they're marketing to. For the local, tournament series on a local lake, some guy looking to fish, that's where stuff's going in the other direction. Call it grassroots, call it whatever you want to, cheaper tournaments. I don't know if it helps the sport. I don't know if we need to help the sport after all the anglers.
Well, I think a couple thing is you don't have there's not a lot of high entry fee tournaments. I mean, you've got Alton Classic $500. You got Bama Blues $1,000. Vicksburg, $2,500. Really, besides that, you have a lot of smaller entry fees. $300 for a catfish tournament is pretty cheap when you have 3 anglers. So me, you, and Jimbo, or me, you, and Catfish Dave, that's 3 anglers in one boat for $300. It's pretty cheap. So a lot of anglers that are traveling, that is the cheapest thing that we're spending is the entry fee. So a lot of the, 10 years ago when we were all from the Midwest traveling to Alabama to fish Bama Blues, a lot of guys were taking that travel, Iowa, Missouri, Kansas. And over time, it's just that they said the juice is not worth the squeeze, to take 4 or 5 days down there. It's just, they wanted to see that. People really like to see that. If somebody wins, if you win and you win 40 grand, that's a little bit different than 10. So I think that, we'll see where that goes. There's a tournament trail on Wheeler. The weekend before, I talked to Chris with Dry Creek. He's doing a $300 entry the weekend before. So it gives people still that tournament. And, as we grow it, we'll kind of see how things are. But, I don't want to ever take it away from somebody that can't afford it. You know what I mean? Right. I think out of everybody that's kind of been in the game, this is the first event that we've taken to another level. And we didn't just start this last night. I mean, this is 11 years in the making, taking one tournament to $1,000. So yeah, will it work? I don't know, but just like Gary Vaynerchuk says, you got to try it. You can't, think that, well, I should have, you know what I mean? I'd rather fail at something and say, at least I tried.
I'm impressed. You know who Gary Vaynerchuk is. That impresses me.
Love Gary Vaynerchuk. You love me some Gary V. If you're watching and you don't know who Gary Vaynerchuk is, look him up. I'd say about 6-7 years ago, a buddy of mine put me on him, and it changed my life, like the outlook of life.
So, a quick story. This past January, we were in New Orleans live streaming ESPN radio. All of their radio shows, we were live streaming a video of it. And we had everybody who is anybody come through there. Joe Montana, Emmett Smith. I mean, just any Hall of Fame, anybody was there. And they were going down this list, and the producers kept saying, Gary's going to be up at whatever time. And I'm like, who the heck's Gary? I'm like, I'm not the biggest football nerd in the world. I'm like, Gary. And up comes walking Gary Vaynerchuk. And I nerded out a little bit on that one. I think we had 3 or 4 guys who knew who he was. So I was a little bit nerdy on that one. So Joe Montana, Gary Vaynerchuk, that was pretty cool. So, and a
Yeah,
nice
I agree
guy.
100%.
Yeah.
And
Nice guy.
he's awesome. He's what, if the people that don't know Gary Vaynerchuk, I mean, his whole spiel is how, he'll say, like, he'll comment or make a post that says, I'm 50, I want to start a business, but I'm scared. And he's like, well, what are you waiting on? Let's go. You know what I mean? I mean, you can be whatever you want to be. You just got to, be excited, go after it. And that's kind of what pushed me to, push Twisted Cat as hard as I have over the years, and be around good people, positive people, and, grind. And like I said, I'd love to meet him in person.
Yeah, he's a great guy. He's actually very personable, just like he comes across in his videos. Anyway, we're off on another tangent that ain't got nothing to do with fishing. So
yeah, so no, I mean, when it comes to growth of the sport, I mean, the things that I see that we are seeing, on the tournament level as we're traveling a lot, one thing that I see is we did too many tournaments. It's like I feel like I can't remember. I can't keep up. My brain's all over the place. We just did New Madrid. We got Alton, Savannah, Keystone. We're all over, moving and grooving. And there's other cities, other places that on a level of like what market could have an event, people begging to have an event, cities begging to have an event. Like, I can't go and do those. We need some other people. I'd love to, have another me in the East Coast or up north or down south or out west, with my passion, I guess, to chase this and grow it. So, that's what I'm looking at. I was up in Wisconsin last week, looking at doing an event up there, and there's a lot of potential, but there's just not a lot of events to keep growing the sport, which I think that helps. A lot of these guys that are getting into the sport that I see, I mean, there's a couple from Cameron, Missouri, Jason and Maggie. They just started. They've got a boat, started fishing some local stuff, and then they came and kind of seen like how we do the events and the Friday night hanging out and the 1v1 stuff that we're doing throughout the tournaments. And now they're traveling across the whole Midwest, fishing and getting to know new people and really loving it. So I think we just need more people to kind of help push, the sport, kind of get the sport out there. Same thing goes on the YouTube. I mean, I think you take 5 years ago to today, look how many people are making money in catfishing on social media alone. That's incredible.
Yeah, there's a lot. And to the point about running tournaments, you guys that run the tournaments need to make money and get paid. And the people who are paying entry fees need to be okay with that. They need to understand that anybody that goes through the trouble to put on one of these major events, pull in whatever sponsorship money there is, travel and tourism money, bringing in the stage, live streaming, whatever you're doing, it's a lot of work, and it will not last unless the people running it are compensated for it. Our local tournament series, Southeastern Catfish Club, I thought was one of the best tournament series around. They're done. The guys, Brian and Josh, finally that we're done with it. Tired of the politics and the BS, and we ain't making no money doing it. And
those are good guys.
Yeah, great guys. It was a great series. They put their heart and soul into it, but to that point, they didn't make any money. They were not taking anything out of the kitty for it, and their costs were covered with some of the sponsorship money, but there wasn't any real significant sponsorship money. It was a monthly trail here in the area. And you guys have to make money when you're running these tournaments, because you'll do it for a while. It'll be fun and exciting. But after about 2 or 3 seasons of that, because I used to do one, you'll get to the point where you're like, we're going to start back up here in August, September, whenever it is. And it's a grind. So people, that's the thing I see people complain about all the time on the payback. 100%, it's not 100% payback. You got to either A, they need to figure out a way to take the travel and tourism money to pay the people who are putting on the tournaments, or you got to get out of that, just that gambling kind of, it's like a hand of poker. Everybody, all the money that's won is put in by the anglers. And, what you're doing, with your series, I think is working. I think that's the business model that's going to work. It's just it's getting that exposure, and like I've said many times, those eyeballs watching, so that it becomes more of an advertising platform, because that's where you get the money, when you can advertise and appeal to people and use it for that. And that's kind of that hump you got to climb and get over. So,
and I think, yeah, just like you said, I mean, to start with the sponsors, 100%. And that's why, if you like at the bottom of the screen right here, obviously, Sea Arc Boats, my employer. Without Sea Arc Boats, there's no Twisted Cat Outdoors, period. And all these other sponsors that you see on the trailer, the truck that I talk about, whether you like Mossy Oak or Sea Arc or Rip and Lips or Power Pole, those are why Twisted Cat is why we're doing a podcast on a Monday night at 7:00, or why we're driving down the road. Liz is a 3rd grade teacher, and I think a lot of the people that maybe fish the trail understand that, but she'll drive 7 hours at Friday night after school just to be a part of it on Saturday to help. I mean, she loves it. And when you have that passion about, making it a fun event, I'm lucky that my family are a huge help, but it takes a lot of things. And there's a lot of people that want to tear it down. You know what I mean? There's just a lot of things that got to go right. And there's so many things so I had Brandon Martin does videos for me. I'm sure you've seen some. Very awesome, high quality, kind of a video of the whole event. I really want him to do a video of the back of everything, what goes on behind the scenes. Cause I think that is very interesting of, we've got a photographer, we've got a videographer, we've got travel, 2-3 vehicles, we've got food, hotel, Airbnb, fuel, all this stuff that costs money. You know what I mean? Flyers, videos, everything, social media. I mean, it's a grind. And then back to like what the other thing that we're going to get into is, building a brand. I mean, you got to be relevant, and it is a grind to post on social media day in and day out, especially when you're doing it on 3 or 4 different platforms. I mean, if you don't, you're going to be irrelevant in 2 years. So, I mean, there's so much going on all the time. It's just like you got to be Gary V in everything,
Yeah. Let me ask you this question. Let me throw this horrible question out there. Do we need tournaments, or do we want tournaments? And what I mean by that is the catfish world go on absolutely fine without tournaments around, or is this just something we want because we like competition, we like to gamble, we like getting people together, we like selling boats that have big live wells in them, and we like selling, lines and rods. And
I think it's a mixture of all. So I just had this conversation the other day. Actually, you take, I was pretty good at golf, went to state, good at basketball, but you get older, you get out of high school, and then, I mean, I can still game a little bit on some basketball, but I'm not going and doing 3-on-3s on the weekend,
Right.
And I think that's why pickleball, cornhole. I just did a tourism show in Wisconsin with the guy that started the big cornhole league, pickleball. And these are sports that you don't have to be athletic. So as you get older, it's crazy to think I'm going to be 40 years old, but I can't go, I can go golf and stuff, but I'm not doing a lot of these other sports. And I love being competitive since I was in high school. So, a lot of it is going, seeing where you fit in. Fishing's your thing. You love catfishing. You love to gamble. I have $500 and $20 bills that I've just done side bets because I'm so far. I mean, I'm just so into it. So it's yes, I think it's betting. I think it's going to hang out with the guys. You get away, but then you have families coming. It's just kind of like travel baseball or whatever for kids. But now you're doing it as an adult, and it is growing, and it's growing fast. And that's kind of back to the point I was saying is I wish I could have another me in the East Coast, because I'm talking to these cities that could use a good event, and they're just falling. I mean, look at Josh and them. That's a huge loss to the sport. If people don't understand that, then they don't understand the whole. I mean, they were having big tournaments, quality tournaments, and now they're gone. That's a big deal. You can't lose that. I mean, we need to be successful. Just like I always say, if you're thinking about getting in tournaments, putting tournaments on, come hang out, see what it's about. It's a lot of work, but if you're passionate and you want to build it, then, make it happen.
You're telling me we want them more than we actually need them. Everything.
Yeah. So back to the need. So here's always my question about catfish conservation. Okay. So let's just say, we hear a lot about catfish conservation lately. Most of the people that fish tournaments, they do fun fish and they fish as much as they can. But I bet 80% of my anglers, and we probably last year, I think we had 1,200 unique anglers. That's everybody in the boat, which is a lot. I mean, it's grown a lot over the last 3 years. But if you take all the anglers that are fishing Twisted Cat or MRM or all tournaments, if you're a tournament angler and you just like that, there's no Twisted Cat, no MRM, Josh and them quit, take all the tournament stuff out of it, which that's all the sponsors that are pushing it.
Right.
Who then cares about catfish conservation?
So that is where you would say there could be a need. And that is about the only thing that I can come up with that you could theoretically say we need it for that. Now, is there enough of a collective voice in the tournament world to make any of that stuff happen? Or can that be done with a coalition, a gathering of anglers that are not fishing tournaments?
You know what? So you brought that up, and I called Brian tonight, and I told Brian, I said, with all this conservation talk, I'm a Glenn fan because Glenn has done so much for me. I think when Glenn with the ACA and all that started, I think that it was a lot of just a lot of bad blood and this and that. But, I said, Brian, what if not me alone, but what if I got a group of us and we did a Zoom once a month, people that actually care, like we talked about right before we jumped on, not somebody that finds a post and says, hey, we should do this, not for clout. And I had an angler call me a couple days ago and kind of, asked what I've done. And I said, the things that I'm doing with some other people, I do not post on Facebook because it's not about that. It's for Rhett when he gets my age to catch blue cats. So if there's people out there, maybe Dieter, you could help with this a little bit because you're on the east side, but I would like to do like a monthly meeting of some people that actually care and that want to put in some work, not really starting an organization or anything, and talk and see what we can do and maybe get some, there's some things that I'm doing with Nate Moore. He's the president of Fishing for Freedom, fishes the Twisted Cat series, but he's put me in touch with some of the Illinois fishing biologists where we're talking about satellite tagging so they can learn more about what catfish are doing, which they're already doing that, to learn their migrations. Once we start doing some of that, we're working with the Iowa. So Iowa was doing all these bass tournament meetings and learning how to better them. And they never thought about catfish. So I was talking to a lady when I had a tournament out of Council Bluffs, Iowa, and she's like, gosh, this is pretty serious what you're doing. Like, would you want to be a part of this tournament talk in Iowa? And she said, we're actually on the catfish side of things, we're looking to mimic Nebraska's laws, which is 1 blue per person per day, which is pretty strict. So again, I think conservation comes from people that care. I hope there's other people that care, but if it's just the tournament people and maybe the YouTube people and the guides, that's scary. Does the guy that just goes out and fun fishes, does he really care? I don't know. So, I mean, that's what I always ask is, I guess, not what have you done, but if you're sharing those posts on Facebook, have you really done anything besides make a Facebook post? And what if you got rid of all tournaments, all tournament anglers, all the sponsors that are pushing it? Where does catfish conservation go?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, what has the tournament world done for conservation? I mean, I don't know.
I think those
There's-
people have brought it to the
I don't know.
forefront.
Has there been a
Are you frozen on me?
oh,
I think you just froze up and you had something probably really good
you
to say.
froze on me? I can't tell who's
I froze on
and who's
you?
not.
Whose feed's freezing? Let me know in the chat. But no, so
Hey, you froze
I mean,
on
yeah,
me.
I mean,
Let me try something. I'll change over my provider real quick.
change to that Elon Musk internet.
There, I changed over. You got me back
It was
now.
your side. Yeah. Is it just your Wi-Fi?
I don't know. I changed over to from my internet to my phone to see if that's a better signal on it. So we'll try that.
Okay. So yeah, so I mean, again, I think that I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna start doing a once a month Zoom meeting. I don't know what that means. And I think that get some people together with some like minds and kind of see where it goes. And I think that catfishing still's got a long ways to go. Period.
Oh yeah. I think the big thing with catfishing is somebody said something here in the comments about tournaments are turning catfishing into a more respected fish and better conservation zones. So I think that lack of respect, I think, is a broad-reaching problem in the catfish world. And the range of fishing for the range of catfishing that it covers, it does not fail once a week on a guide trip. Somebody will ask, "You ever go noodling for catfish?"
I just got asked that this weekend.
Yeah. So you're going from people catching them with their hands, okay, in the water with no shirt on, to people in a $90,000 boat paying $5,000 to enter a tournament to fish for them. And then there's everything in between. And you can catch them on a jug. You can shoot them with a bow and arrow. And in most places, kill everyone you want to kill. And in some places, the government wants you to kill them. You don't get that with other, like a bass or a crappie.
No.
By the way, it's pronounced crappie. It's according to my poll.
It's crappie.
It's not. It's crappie is a nationwide poll that I did. Anyway, with those pretty fish, stripers, you don't get that with any of them. And I think that is part of the problem that I don't think we're going to fix in our lifetime. And you're younger than me, because I think it's just the nature and perception of the fish that I don't think we can overcome. And I think that's what kind of, I don't know, keeps the reins from some of this stuff happening.
Yeah.
It's a slow train to coming if it's coming.
Yeah, I think it's two things. I think number one, bass fishing got big back in the, let's say, 80s. So in the 80s, you had...
Yeah, it blew up then, but I mean, it was on the way up 70s.
70s and 80s, look at society. You had... Everybody was watching TV. There was commercials, TV, no cell phones. So if you were big on TV, you were big in the world. So you had, if you had a BASS sticker on your truck at school, then you were it. So, I mean, if you take those things, how bass got its start bass today. Sorry, that was a gnat flying.
I had one in here too. Yeah.
But and then again, yes, what I've talked about before is how many ways can you catch a bass? I mean, rod and reel.
Catch them on live bait. You catch them on some artificials, and you got to do it on rod and reel if you're gonna keep them.
So catfish, you've got bow fishing, you've got noodling, you've got the ditty pulls, you've got jugs, all that stuff. And some of it's bigger.
Wait. We forgot one important thing that accounts for tens of thousands of anglers nationwide, and that's pay lakes. So
true.
You throw that in all of these groups, they're polarizing. Your boat trophy anglers versus your pay lakers. Well, there's a polarizing group. your rod and reel guys, and then your people over here fishing with jugs, trot lines, they're polarizing. And there's enough infighting within the community itself to kind of undermine any good thing that anybody tries to do. Glenn got to see that firsthand. No matter what you did in which direction, there was one of these polarizing groups coming in that didn't like something that was being done. And that is something that I don't think we're going to change. I think if anything evolves, you're going to have to learn to accept it and bring people together. Because I don't think the pay Lakers are going to do away with the rod and reel anglers and vice versa. And I don't see the hand grabbing people going away either.
I'm in Illinois. In Oklahoma, that is the way of life, is to noodle. I mean, am I for it? No, whatever. But they've been doing that forever. Like, you will not change that. Some of them they do put back, whatever. But Chris the Catfish. I mean, that's one of the biggest events he's ever been to. I think they had 5,000 people just watching them weigh those fish. That's a whole nother animal. Mm-hmm. So you can't just say, hey, we're stopping noodling. It's legal. It's been legal forever.
Yep. Pay lakes, the same argument can be made for pay lakes. Pay lakes are operating perfectly legal in most places. The majority of them are. Some of them are getting fish. They're buying the fish in most places legally. The people who are catching them may not be doing that, as some of these busts have revealed lately. But that's something that is operating perfectly legal. And that's the tough thing. You've got all these stakeholders, and you've talked to biologists before, they're like stuck in the middle with like, well, they have to appeal to all these people. They're the ones who truly have to serve all these people, as long as they're, doing stuff legal, get a license to do it. And
with Iowa and Illinois, talking with the Iowa and Illinois, and Nate Moore was with me, like the biologist in Illinois, he had no idea. He knew that they were commercial fishing, taking fish to some pay lakes. He didn't know that it was on that kind of level that we're dealing with. I mean, even up in my area, they're taking them. But he didn't realize that he thought that they were taking them to a pay lake, they'd catch them, then that person that caught them, he took it home to eat. And that's not the case. You know what I mean? A lot of that is they catch, release until they die and they throw in the ditch. Maybe they last a couple of weeks. So I think getting that, making the Facebook posts and getting upset on Facebook is not going to do anything. I think it's getting that information to the biologist, talking and getting some answers. And there is, like I said, like we talked about, they're noodling in Oklahoma. There's more people that probably noodle in Oklahoma than rod and reel for catfish. I mean, that is a serious deal. And the Diddy pools too. That's a big sport too.
I've got a saying: if April showers bring May flowers, what do May flowers bring? Not pilgrims. It brings the post every spring. That's about the time most of these lakes, that April, May time frame, is when they usually start getting their fish for the summer. They start rolling the videos of them dumping them out on a tarp, and that's usually when the outrage starts. It goes uphill, and then it kind of gets forgotten about until they try to get their fall fish and stuff. And again, there's tens of thousands of people fish those lakes, and they're part of that catfish world. And we got, I don't know, it's a tough group to cater to. The more you think about it and the more you look, how would you approach it, the more you get stuck in a place of, well, you almost have to pick and choose who you're gonna side with. And that's a tough deal. So I don't know what the answer is there. That's why I have not a lot of optimism for a unifying group. I said in a podcast that if the ACA fails, I believe that's the last shot for a long, long time, because what Glenn put together, love him or hate him, was the most organized and well put together and well thought out, and maybe too well thought out. He might have bit off more than he could chew in the beginning. But as far as an organization with multiple levels, a lot of the people across the bottom of the screen, he got on board with it. And he was tied to some high rollers in the industry too. And if that fails, dude, I don't know anybody else that can make that happen. And that's why, you know, I like the energy. I like talking about it. I like coming up with ideas. But like you said, getting, you know, the thing is, and we've talked about this before, is the ideas are great. It's going through the political steps to make the stuff happen at these state and local levels. And some stuff has happened. I mean, there's slow changes happening, but it's tough
and
to
I think
do
we'll
it.
see it. Yeah, I think we'll see it. But I mean, look what they're doing in, what is it, Virginia? I mean, you're forced to kill them in Virginia, aren't you?
It may be Maryland.
Maryland.
I think Virginia wants to kill them. They want you to eat them. But Virginia kind of is like, well, we kind of brought them here. I think it's Maryland is the one where they want you to kill every one of them that you catch because they consider them invasive.
Yeah. And again, it's like, you know, I haven't done the numbers of like Twisted Cat per year, but I think we weighed maybe 1,500 pounds, let's say, in this last tournament. I mean, they're taking, I don't know if you've seen the numbers that I got from Justin a while back, but you can do all the tournaments all year long, and they can take that out in a few weeks just of a certain area. I mean, like I said, but that's my big push is don't take, you know, that'd be like us taking white-tailed deer from Western Illinois to Texas and put them in a cage. I mean, they would burn my house down, take my vehicles. I mean, that's what I mean. So I think that's something that we can get changed is taking these fish out of our waters to a pay lake that's going to die and not even get used for food. I think that's the change. We're not going to change noodling. We're not going to change ditty pulls. We'll change some creel limits and stuff. But again, it always goes back to like we talked about. You can bow and arrow, you can shoot them. I think in some states, there's just so many methods that's, you know, huge.
And they're all perfectly legal, and they all have their following of people who are totally into it and totally believe that what they're doing is right and it's not hurting anything, and it, you know, it's okay. And because if you talk to the people that I don't use the term bow fish because it's not fishing, the people that shoot fish with bow and arrows, because that's a better way to describe it, you know, they're adamant. There's plenty of fish out there. I don't know why y'all are all been out of shape on this. We see them all the time. You know, there's tons of fish, and they totally believe that what they're doing doesn't have an impact on the fishery. So, you know, that's what you're up against with all these groups butting heads against each other.
So where you guide, where do you got what do you guide on?
Catawba River chain right outside Charlotte, North Carolina.
So do they commercial fish that at all?
No. Well, we will have people that will. We got a couple of pay lakes locally, and same thing. You'll see them show up in the springtime. They'll catch fish for the summer, and they do it with hoop nets. Most of it's done illegally. Their setting practices are done illegally, and you know, if we have to find,
has that affected your fishery in your mind?
No. I know, and you know, that's the thing here. The research shows. I mean, we've had a steady increase. The growth of those blue catfish and flathead catfish are not native to our water, so they were introduced. So over the past 20 years, those numbers have went up and grown. But I don't think they're doing it at a high enough rate. You know, all indications are from the biologists and everybody else is that it doesn't have an impact on the fishery. If anything, it may be doing some good in removing some fish from the fishery so there's less mouths to feed. But it's not fished as hard as some of these other places that are trying, because we just don't grow super huge fish here in these bodies of water. They're not really big bodies of water. I don't know that we got the genetics for it, but that's a whole nother argument and discussion. But it's, there's no, I mean, our fishery's in pretty good shape. And like I said, you see them in that spring time frame. stocking up for the summer. Because one thing you say about the pay lakes, they don't like buying fish. The ones that actually buy them from the people that catch them, I mean, it's money out of their pocket. You would think they would try to keep them alive. They don't like to do it, but it's kind of a necessarily evil unless they're catching them themselves. And that's what most of the local people are doing. They catch them themselves. They kind of do their big show with a bunch of them on video on Facebook, and then they're in there for the summer.
Yeah. I think, again, we're making some headway of getting people involved, getting more people interested, getting more people fishing on that tournament level, or if, that they're wanting to, you always hear, like I said, I want Rhett to be able to catch catfish when he's my age, which is a long time from now. But, who knows where the future holds. I think a lot of the right people get involved, and if you put your mind to it, you can do about anything you want.
Yeah.
How about high school catfishing? Carl said, yeah, I'd love to see that too. I know my son, like now he wants to get into bass fishing and be on the, like we have a bass team in my small town. So who knows, I might be a bass fisherman here in a couple of years, but will we see catfishing in high school? Not for a long time, probably, maybe never.
Now, Timmy asked a good question about why don't they breed their own fish in the pay lakes? And it's a good question. It's a very valid question, is because the growth rate on catfish is slow. People have compared it to shooting whitetail. Well, you shoot white-tailed deer, just kill them, and well, it's because white-tailed deer grows to maturity very quickly. To get to a 40, 50-pound fish, all things being equal in a natural environment, that could be anywhere from 10 to 15 years to do that, and anywhere from 15 to 25 for a super large fish. It's a slow growth. Now, I do believe, and I've spoke to some biologists about this, that if somebody had the money, the seed money, they could grow fish in a controlled environment. It would take some genetic funneling down to where you found fish that would grow quicker, eat more, and grow 30, 40-pound fish in 5 to 6 years. You'd basically have to have the money to fund that operation for that period of time to make it work. You're talking probably, seven figures to make something like that happen. It could happen. It would kind of be like they do on the deer farms where people go and pay to shoot these 260-inch deer. It's the same thing. It's a distilling process with, finding the abnormal genetics that allow something to grow that big. Because that's the thing with fish that a lot of people don't get. It's just like Shaquille O'Neal and Alex Nagy. No matter if Alex eats exactly what Shaq eats and lives the exact same life, he ain't going to be as big as Shaq because genetically, that's a different human being. And the same thing with catfish. If they all live to be 25 years old, they all in the same lake, in the same river, one of them is going to be genetically predisposed to make it that big. Maybe it eats a lot. Maybe it eats the right things. Maybe it's very, just targeting and where it stays and where it lives. And the same fish that can be 25 years old, may only be 35 or 40 pounds. So that's kind of some quick biology on why it all doesn't work out that quick.
How many years have pay lakes been around doing these big catfish? I mean, is it the last 5 years, 20 years, 30 years? What?
In our area, the lake that I know of, I mean, we've had carp lakes around here since I was a kid. Okay. So I know some of the carp lakes go back to the 50s. So those have been around. At that time, most of the ones we had, because there was a little one right outside of Charlotte, right? It's almost underneath one of the runways now because the airport's gotten so big. It was a pay lake, Bearcat Lake. Anybody from the Charlotte area remembers where the store was. And they had a catfish lake that I used to go to when I was in high school. But that one was stocked with farm-raised bullheads. You could go down there and, I don't know, it was so much a fish or something to catch and keep, and they were all, that big. As far as paying attention to the pay lakes, I know they for catfish, like I said, we've got less of those here than we do carp lakes. I know they've been around for 25 years. Robinson Lake is one of them that's around here. That's been around for 25 or 30 years at least.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to do some research on that too. But like I said, it goes back to we got a lot of work to do, and that's why maybe if people are interested, we'll do this monthly meeting with some people that are serious about it. I know Julie Weatherspoon is. I'm sure I can get a few people on here that, maybe you put a couple minds together, and you never know what can happen. But I think my goal for conservation is to stop taking the natural resource away to those lakes. Will it happen? I hope. I think so. I think with the right people. But yeah, we're not going to stop noodling, bow fishing, all those stuff that's been happening for years. But yeah, I mean, that's my goal is that, you know what I mean, to stop that. But on the flip side is now we have a conservation agent that's covering like 4 counties in my area, and he can't keep up. So, and if they have a $25 fine for taking a load, I mean, the slap on the wrist ain't going to stop things either.
No. There's I've heard some of those guys say the $100 ticket or $200 tickets just cost of doing business.
They laugh at all.
Yeah, they'd pay that every month if they had to. I mean, that would just be cost of doing business tax for most of them. So, but I think
there's a little clip there too. It was open in 2005. A news clip showed they stocked 31,000 in 2009. So I don't know. I mean, is it? That's a wild question. Is what happens if there were no pay lakes? Would the fishing be worse, better? Would you have a lot smaller fish? I think there's a lot for us to know. Working with these biologists too we're gonna learn that. I'm trying to get Western Illinois to do another study on growth and following the trail next year, and again trying to do some tagging where we can learn more about what they're doing. And we did this. The small stuff that we have already done is pretty wild info that we've learned.
Yeah. 31,000 pounds. I have had pay lakes call and offer to buy fish from me. They see me on YouTube, and they would pay between $2 and $3 a pound. They had some formula for like $2 up to a certain weight, and then they'd go up to $3 a pound if it was like a trophy, whatever they considered to be a trophy fish. So you can do the math there. Now that's if they're buying the fish. If they're catching them themselves, I mean, it's a whole different animal. But that's a lot of money. That's $60,000 to $100,000 a year that they're paying to put fish in there. It shows you how much money they are making at these pay lakes. And when they do these tournaments and everything else, you are talking tens of thousands of dollars a night and a weekend going through these places. You think catfish tournaments that Alex Nagy runs, a lot of money changes hands. Go to some of these pay lakes on the weekend and just hang out and throw some worms out there and watch what's going on, and it will baffle your mind. Cart Lake's the same way. It's tens of thousands of dollars every weekend, and that's how they're able to pay that kind of money to get those fish.
Oh, it's huge. And I think a year ago they were calling a dealer around me, a boat dealer, asking if they knew any commercial fishermen, and saying maybe it was over 30 or 40 pounds, it was $4 a pound.
Wow.
That is a lot of money.
Wow. That's crazy. I couldn't do it. Again, I couldn't do it. I'd have to be, things would have to be pretty bad. I'd come work for Alex before I'd do that. So
I appreciate that. But back to all of that again about the growth and everything. You take just myself and a few people in my area where I live, which is a very unique. A lot of people have heard me talk about it over and over. I live in the furthest north region that you can catch a blue cat on the Mississippi River. They migrate a lot. They migrate up to the biggest dam on the Mississippi, and they do not go past. The problem is like right now, there is pay lakes coming to the pool below mine, the Quincy, Illinois pool, and they're taking them in hoop nets and they're putting them. I mean, I've got videos and pictures of it, and they're taking them out a lot. Now, we don't have a ton to catch up here already. So like I haven't fished my pool besides one time this year, and it's my backyard. So instead I go up to pool 19 and catch the 10-pound channel cat and chase them. So I have heard several other people that I talk to that they don't fish, like they're done because it sucks to go out there knowing that the small amount of blue cats we have are getting taken out as they migrate up. And that is devastating. So I think that there can hurt people getting into the sport, stuff like that. And I think that goes back to the states. Like, hey, you're losing these fish to another state that's making money. Illinois is probably not making really anything besides maybe commercial license, and losing all these people that want to even go fish the natural resource because they're taking the natural resource away. And that's my sell.
That's a legitimate argument, is that they're coming to wherever, Alabama, taking those fish, dragging them back to Ohio or wherever, and that's where all the money is getting swapped back. Untaxed money, too, let me add. This is all untaxed money.
Oh, I know.
They don't send out 1099s at the Pay Lake, I guarantee you that. And, that's where all that stuff's happening at. So, I mean, that's a legitimate argument that may actually get some traction, because when you start talking about tax money and taxpayers' money and using their resources.
And you talk that with the state of Illinois, yeah. I mean, remember they were trying to charge us for tournaments. They wanted 10% of the pot. That's prizes and everything. If you used a state stamp and everything. So I mean, it's just getting it out there, getting it with the right people. Luckily for me, a fisheries biologist is actually his son is in my son's class in my same little small town. So it's crazy the things I've learned about fish over the years, how smart they are. Maybe that's why they're so hard to catch sometimes, but so I think that's kind of my take to the Pay Lakes and how to kind of fight that is like, and it's literally myself. Like, I don't want to go fish my own pool because it's so devastating seeing them get the small amount of blues that we get, they're taken out. It's like, I don't even want to, I hear a guy go out and he says, man, I didn't even get a bite today. Like, that's, well, I just knew they take three.
I get those questions from people a lot of times on the channel. It's like, man, I've been trying this and trying that. And, sadly, the cold hard truth is you may be in a place that ain't got no fish in it, or not a lot of them, not an abundance of them. And, to hear stories like that about a place like that, man, that ain't good. That ain't a good sign. So, but I think it's going to take, I think it takes people at that level, that state level. That's one thing Glenn was going in a direction with for a while, was trying to get some of this stuff, kind of, micro down to the individual states, because the way it works in North Carolina is different than it is across the line in South Carolina with the whole process. Just like I'm sure it's different in Tennessee and everywhere else. Everybody's got a different process, and having people in those states that have the interest and the desire to try to spearhead some of that stuff, that's tough. That's tough to get. It's tough to get those people. It's kind of like running a tournament. Everybody's enthusiastic in the beginning, and once you get in and get your head bashed into the wall a couple of times with dead ends, you kind of get frustrated with it.
Oh my gosh, there's so many times I wanted to hang it up and say, what in the world am I doing? Why am I doing this? Like, it's terrible. I mean, it's, for some odd reason I kept going, but like I said, that's what's tough, and that's why I'm here to help. If you run a tournament or need help or have questions, not that I know it all, but I've done it long enough where hopefully I can help you, and I'm willing to help, because I want to fish tournaments too. That's why I'm even doing like we do a Santa Claus. I don't know what it's called. I go brain dead on that, but I do a tournament where everybody throws in $100 or $20, and we go fish like a little 20 boat, 10 boat tournament. Just so I can fish one clip, because I don't have really a lot of options in my whole area because I can't fish my own. So, yeah.
Hey, when is the Sea Arc Owners Tournament next year? Have y'all set a date on it yet?
Yes, it is going to be in April.
Can you reveal it? Can you? Okay. Leave it to me to ask the tough question there. So, okay.
I'm gonna announce it this week. I got to get the hotels booked before everybody else. Are you coming?
Yes. Well, only one person on the team has to own a Sea Arc. Is that correct?
Just the owner of the boat, yeah.
Cool. I may be there.
Well, we'd love to have you.
You lie so good. I'm so impressed with that. That sounded so good.
No, I'm serious.
Yeah, Jake, my buddy Captain Jake got his Sea Arc, so he's out running it and on the water with it. So he's gung ho and won't get it. So I may twist his arm to come down there.
So did he trade? He had a G3. He traded it in for a ProCat 240 or a Pro Guide or.
No, he had a different boat that he got rid of. It was a glass boat, and yeah, he got the ProCat 240. That's what he got.
Now he's going to guide.
Oh, he's been guiding. He was guiding out of the other boat, and just having a big, large fiberglass boat, it takes a beating day-to-day fishing. So, yeah, he was actually getting his enclosure made for today. So, yeah, he's enjoying it.
And he bought it at Huntley, right?
Got it from Huntley. Zach Taylor, our boy down there. So, yep, they got a good selection. And the poor guys at Huntley, I went down there, filmed a bunch of stuff. And they got all these beautiful Sea Arcs sitting out there. Great selection, every model available. And they're building this new fire station right next, I mean, literally across the fence. So that everything gets covered in dirt. I feel for them. Their entire place, it's all this dust out of this construction site. Everything looks like it's just it's like got a matte finish on it. I feel sorry for the guys down there. But anyway, that's another story. Good selection of boats down there. They got them all.
Yeah, he's one of the top dealers. No, he does good. So back to him, Jake, right? Is his name?
Jake. Yep, Captain Jake. Hey, Jake.
I'm looking at Jake. He doesn't identify as a Karen, so we're good there. I seen it pull up. But so I did talk to Jake. He called me. You had him call me about a week or two ago, and one thing he said as we transition from tournaments, conservation now to branding.
Mm-hmm.
You're good at that. He said that you're going to be helping him on his brand and social media and how to grow it.
Yeah.
What things are you doing and what are you seeing right now as I follow Gary V and watch what he says about the future? Obviously his big thing right now is, voice integration and stuff like that. What are you seeing? What advice are you giving Jake to stay relevant as a guide?
Well, it's like you were saying earlier, you got to be out there constantly. The occasional post now and then. That's the thing I heard from a lot of the people that I was courting at ICAST was that this was from the bass fishing world. These are like the pro bass fishermen that they had on these deals weren't generating any content. They may be partnered with Costa or Power Pole or somebody, and they weren't creating any, or they reluctantly were creating content. And it's one of those things where you have to have a constant presence out there. That's been one of the complaints I've had with the pro catfish tournament anglers. The guys who are on the circuit is who I assigned that pro title to. The guys in the nice jerseys with the sponsors and all that stuff. We classify. We won't get to right or wrong whether it's the right term, but those kind of guys, not many of them have a social media presence. And in the absence of any marketing by a tournament series, so you're fishing Bob's Catfish Tournament Trail and you're winning every one of them or every other one of them, and you're the man, you got big fish of the year, you win the points race. Well, if you don't know who Bob's Tournament Trail is, you don't know who Billy Bob is that won that point series, because nobody knows anything about that tournament trail. So the only way to make up for that and have any value as an angler in that situation, to try to get a Sea Arc or a Power Pole or somebody to sponsor you, is have a social media presence, because that is advertising. And it's not for everybody. And let's just be totally clear about that. It is not for everybody. Not everybody is cut out for it. It's hard to fake. That's the I'd say this. It's easy to fake. It's hard to believe. There's a line between being legitimate and honest and being a cheerleader that comes across fake, if that makes any sense.
That's easy to read.
What's that? It's annoying.
That's easy to read.
Yeah, it people can see it. So legit. You got to be real. You got to be, if you're like me, listen, I rub people wrong sometimes with some of the stuff I say. That's just who I am. Nobody's going to call me fake. That they call me a lot of other stuff, but they're not going to call me fake. So You got to
Catfish
keep
Dave.
it real. Yeah, you call me that. CatfishDave.com, by the way, y'all go check it out. And it's you know, you got to keep it real. But yeah, like with Jake, you know, Jake doesn't have, you know, he's like anybody that's trying to in the guide world too. We got a lot of guys in our area that are, you know, living on the magazine articles of the past. That used to be the thing. You know, you'd get you a magazine cover. I got some over here in my file cabinet. Get some articles, you know, fished with Captain so and so. There's his phone number, you know, and you'd give them a quote that turned it into a quote that sounded much better for a magazine article, and people would call you and get fishing. Well, I don't know how it is where you're at, but there ain't too many magazines anymore. There ain't too many fishing magazines. There ain't too many local fishing magazines. So people are.
It's like TV.
Yeah.
There's no. I mean, I don't care. I mean, I don't watch. I mean, if I'm watching TV, it's something that I want to watch, and I'm definitely not watching commercials.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, TV, and the whole TV thing's went away. You know, I mean, if you got enough money to do a time buy, you can have a TV show now. Now, will anybody watch it? How many catfish shows have we seen come and go?
Yeah, the YouTube channels are so good, and like I said, I mean, I used to watch Steve Douglas's channel. Yep. There's a lot of really good channels out there. I don't watch Catfish Dave's stuff, but he has a great channel. You got a great channel. I don't know how Catfish Dave's channel is so big. He maybe hit the algorithm good, kind of learned that. He always looks like he's in a bad mood when he's doing videos. Maybe that's his sell. But I will say this, as part owner of Rip and Lips, I get a ton, probably daily. I get messages, phone calls, emails, and it'll blow my mind. You know, they've never used one of my products, but they want to be pro staff. Yeah. And they're going to do A, B, and C. Well, number one, I know, because I know what it takes to do A, B, and C, and that whatever. I will say this, in catfishing, and I know the bass word a little bit because I got some friends in it. Right now, if you are young and hungry, you could take the world over. Right now, I struggle at the tournaments of finding the person that I can hand the mic to. So when Dieter comes in and weighs in and I say, hey, how was your day? You know, talk to me about it. What do you think of this crowd? You know, I gave it to Joe.
We called them.
Yeah.
We found some.
So, and then the people that don't want to say whether you're lying, talk and say, oh, I caught them deep. I did this. I used shad. They only bit on shad heads and this and that. Like, it is, dude, somebody could come in today and be sponsored by Sea Arc, Rip and Lips, Power Pole, everybody you see on the bottom, if they were hungry. Only if they're hungry. You can't fake it. Yeah. You can't fake it. It's simple things. I mean, I have a Google Drive folder on each one of these people down there that I make sure I put in content that they can go to. I share it with their marketing team that they can use. Whether they use it or not, that's on them. Yeah. But they know I'm at least doing my stuff. And I know a lot of these marketing teams, and they're struggling with, you know, their people doing content.
Yeah. It's, you know, and that's the thing, you know, I told, you know, we use Jake as an example as a guide. There's a lot of guides wanting stuff, products, rods, you know, that kind of stuff. But, you know, for a lot of them, their reach is no further than the people that they have on the boat. Depending on what type of fishing that is and where you're at, that can have some weight, but you'll never have the weight that you'll have with a massive social media presence. And that's a double-edged sword. You know, as a fishing guide, you know, you putting too much stuff out there, you're going to be giving up your spots and all that kind of stuff. Are you blowing up? Is it bad for fishing? We talk about our tournaments bad for fishing. Is social media bad for fishing? Probably so. There is a bad side to it. But probably like with tournaments, does the good outweigh the bad? It's kind of like vaccines, you know, a vaccine. Do people die from vaccines? Absolutely. But is the greater good of having them worth it? You know, that's you know, the way you look at it. So, but yeah, that's you know, the new world. Yeah, it's not changing anytime soon.
No. Right here, Tom said, and said angler wouldn't have to even do real good at each tournament. I don't care. In my opinion, I don't care if you win it. I don't care how you do.
Dude, there. Let me say this: there are people on YouTube that have made six figures in the catfishing world in a year that never brought a fish over the side of the boat that was over 20, 30 pounds. Okay. If you can catch them, fine. It's not about catching big fish. I can tell you that right now. That is the biggest illusion. If you can catch them, great. But the bad thing is there are also people on YouTube that catch some really big fish and they get no traction whatsoever because they have no personality that makes people want to watch. You watch it for, I'm not going to use the term we use in the world, but you watch it just to see the big fish and then you're done. And that's the only thing you care about. You scroll forward to it. So it's, while it's about fishing, it's about something more than catching a fish. So that's the other weird.
Well, it's value. That's what I'm telling people that want to, like I said, I've talked to a few guys that say, hey, my social media is crap. What can I do? Well, value. What somebody's only going to watch you if you're number one, if you're not fake and you're bringing them value. I mean, look at the people that do really good. I mean, Gary Vee showing you what to do on social media. You know, if you're showing people all the videos, like I've had Liz do a couple like cast net videos and snelling a hook, that's value. It's cool seeing a big fish, but how did you catch that big fish?
Gary
I don't want to show how I caught that big fish.
Gary Vaynerchuk sums it up with his, give, then ask for something. You know, jab, 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 left hook. I think it's the title of his book. You've got to give people something. Just showing them the bad thing with catching big fish, especially if that's all you're showing, it comes across very braggadocious to a lot of people. Whether you realize it or not, if all you're showing is, if the only thing you ever show is you catching a big fish and, you know, and you're not telling anybody what your tactics are, you're not showing anybody that you fail sometimes, it becomes subliminally braggadocious that, oh, look at me, I caught another big fish. Oh, another big fish. All he ever shows is big fish coming in. So you got to give something. And you summed it up well there, Alex. You got to give them something, that value. You got to have some type of value that you can deliver, whether it be education. It's the 3 E's. It's entertainment, education, and enlightenment. And you got to do, if you can do one of them, you're doing good. If you get two of them, you're going to be golden. And if you're able to do three, then you'll make a living in the social media space. So, and you know, Gary's a good example of that. So.
But yeah, and like I said, that's where we're at in the tournament world. You know, you compare it to the bass world, is we don't have that social media stardom. And I think that when Spencer, Micah, and Bradley won Megabucks, they were so big in the YouTube world, having big followings, that got that kind of going. I mean,
that is the most coverage. I don't know if I sent you the numbers, but I pulled the numbers off of my channel and their channel, and then looked at some numbers from some tournaments. That is the most views that I have seen for a catfish tournament related event ever. And again, it's part of it's because, you know, that dream team is there who did it. And,
because they've got a big following. Now imagine if they had G-Man personalities.
Right.
On the stage.
If you had a Mike Iaconelli kind of guy, a good example in the fishing world is Richard Jean, the fishing machine. He's got his little, alter ego kind of thing. And, that appeals to people. And yeah, if you had somebody that was some type of person that was, over the top, it doesn't have to be it just has to be different. It has to be something that is captivating. And, you don't have it, but you have to have that natural knack to do it too. And that's the tough. It's hard to fake that stuff. It's people read right through it. So, but you're right. There's some young person out there that will jump on board with it. And man.
So you agree with that? I think, in my opinion,
absolutely,
in the next 2 to 3 years, even, you're going to see a few younger people that are like, let's go. They're going to look at this sport and they go, wow, this is all there is.
Yeah.
Like, let's own this. And they don't even have to be good.
Here's the bad part, Dave. They're better off, and this is where I'll piss off some people in this industry. They're better off going somewhere else outside of catfishing, because most of the people in this space don't understand, or very few of them, I will say, realize the value, the impact, and the clout of somebody in the social media space and what they can do and what they can do to move product. And they're too focused on the, giving them a promo code and let's see how much they sell. Well, if I'm paying them $10,000 a month to be my pro staff, they better sell $11,000.
Yeah.
Not understanding the brand identity that being attached to that Mike Iaconelli, without him ever saying a word about your product, the fact that he's wearing that Abu Garcia shirt, it's got the Abu Garcia wrap on the boat or it's on his hat. That's all that has to be done. And that's the bad part about this segment right now, is a lot of the businesses in the space don't get that yet. And I think that's why a lot of those kids, the John B's and those type, go to the bass fishing world, or to, something that has, a little more wide-ranging appeal. And I think we'll get a little more reach. So,
but I think we'll see a young person. Maybe it's somebody's kid. Maybe it's we're definitely, like, I've seen it, maybe because I've been in, gosh, it goes back to my age again, but I've seen it pretty rapidly the last couple years, but we just haven't seen that person yet.
Yeah. I think what they'll have to do is it'll be something that will transcend catfishing, and it may be catfish centric, but it'll transcend that. I think it has to be something a little bit more broad reaching than just this, because I think this community is limiting, to be perfectly honest. I think there is a kind of a ceiling if you stay totally in the catfish fishing part of it.
True. Absolutely.
Luke Nichols saw that, probably the greatest visionary to come out of our industry with catfish and carp. He realized there's a cap on what I can do here. So, I'm going to go over here and start living in ice caves and, all this stuff. And now he's a multi-millionaire and quit. So, that's where you get that broader appeal. So, but yeah, somebody, to your point, somebody can get the traction here. Even if they don't get to that point, they could still do pretty dang good in this space if you had that person that would stick with it. That's the hard part, is getting past that initial time rate. But if you've got some special something that we can't even think of what it is, that might happen.
Yeah. So, social media, what are your big platforms? Do you think somebody trying to, let's say that I fish some tournaments, I'm maybe guiding a little bit, but I struggle at social media. I have a Facebook page, I got a YouTube, but they're not great. Should I focus on one? Should I try to do all? Like, what's your thoughts? What road to go down?
Here's the thing. They're all different in what works on each of them. I kind of started out on YouTube and luckily have done pretty good there. The way that content works is different than what works on TikTok, because I've dabbled in TikTok some, and that's like a whole different way of doing business. I have put up I put the same videos up on my Facebook, Instagram. Instagram, if you can make it on there, it's like living in New York. If you can make it there, you can make it anywhere. Instagram hadn't figured out how to be successful yet. So if you can figure it out, you'll beat them to the punch. TikTok is, now Trump may close it down next week, so you got to be careful there as to whether it's still going to be around. But that has a different, younger dynamic to it that I think if you're young and into that world, that may be the place to get traction. You make money in a different way on TikTok than you do on YouTube. It's not about the views. It's still about the views, but you end up having more influence or clout for getting brand deals and that kind of stuff on there than you do. You still get that on YouTube, but the views pay a lot more money. YouTube is the highest paying one out of all of them, period, as far as what they pay per view. But the, TikTok it's kind of new, but who knows where it's going. I think you need to have a presence on all of them. And depending on what content you're creating, what niche you're in, you can repurpose the content to all the platforms. If you're a go-getter and you're a hustler putting in the work to, repurpose that content, or if you're outsourcing and paying somebody to do it. I get 2 to 3 emails a day from AI companies. It's totally AI. They tell you that up front to edit videos. And it's, you can, and I played around with it. They do pretty good. You can, you upload a video, they cut a bunch of shorts out of it or 3-minute clips or whatever, and they do pretty good. It gets pretty close. You can do better doing it yourself right now. At some point in the future, AI is going to do that. For somebody new getting in to, wants to go the social media route, if they have any understanding of AI further than Chat GPT, they may be, they've got an advantage, because for most people, all they know about AI is just, Chat GPT, I can look stuff up, it'll write my term paper, and, I can write a song and all that kind of stuff. There's a whole nother world there that somebody could capitalize on. I do think there's going to be a climb in that AI stuff, and then being real is going to have value, because the fake stuff it's got annoying already.
It is.
Yeah. I mean, there was stuff literally the day after Charlie Kirk was assassinated that was created with him, like talking and stuff. It was like creepy, weird, like not to place for it. And there's other stuff that's that way. So there's going to be a balance somewhere in there. But yeah, a young kid that understands AI and understands how to use it for stuff just besides researching something, I think there's some, and trust me, I'm not the one to know all that. We've done some stuff with it, but there's a whole world out there my head ain't even wrapped around.
Yeah, it does. There's so much stuff on social media now, and now some of it is funny, like with the Bigfoot's talking and doing all that, but it's gotten to be like kind of like, okay, I'm done with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And the pictures, of people holding fish and girls holding fish. It's just like, can we get back to some real stuff?
That's a good example of the AI stuff right there that is generating money. They have used AI to create these fishing channels, and it's some girl in a bikini, and it's all about the views, and they're holding a fish that they call a perch, and it's usually a largemouth bass or something.
Yeah.
It gets views, it gets people to stop on it, and they make money off those things. And that's all totally AI generated stuff.
Yeah.
Those are people
probably a lot of money too.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's all about views, and it's all about getting people to hit those websites, follow those websites. And yeah, you make money that way too. Yes, you make money on Facebook. We get a deposit from them every month. There's ways to make money there too. So, but it's a dedicated deal. You got to be, as I've said, anybody can have a viral video that gets 8, 10, 12 million views. Nobody accidentally has a great YouTube, Facebook channel. Nobody just accidentally has a great channel. You have to work at it. You can get lucky and accidentally have a good video, but to do it long term, you've got to be doing something purposely.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not, like I said, with Twisted Cat, I mean, I have to be relevant daily. I mean, pictures, videos, bringing value. You know what I mean? So again, if the more anglers I can find to help bring that value, even finding people to get on the podcast is tough to kind of give you. You know what I mean? Like that's a problem. To have somebody on a podcast that can talk with me me and you could probably talk all night, honestly, about pretty relevant stuff in the industry or outside the industry, whatever. But finding the people to talk about relevant stuff is tough.
Yeah, it is. Trust me. I don't know how many of y'all have turned me down at CatCon when I try to round people. Hey, you were one of them. That's right. You were one of them. That's right.
I never turned you down. I was probably doing
you never
something.
showed up. You never showed up. I sat there and waited, just stared at the walls. But
Whatever.
getting people, yeah, just there. Because I'll be honest with you, for a lot of people, you know, the tournament anglers, you know, those guys, they're intimidated by it. And that's no slam on them, but it's as intimidating as me speaking at this fishing banquet, or not banquet, but this fishing presentation I'm doing tomorrow. I'm not used to talking in front of people. I can talk in front of a camera all day long. Talking in front of people, that's as intimidating to me as just getting some guy that's never sat in front of the camera to say, hey, come do a podcast with me. There'll be 3 cameras on you. You're going to have a mic on you, and you're going to have to answer a question right after I ask it to you. That's not normal. People don't normally do that. And, you know, yeah, that's tough. It's hard to find those kind of people.
It is. It's tough. Like I said, it's where I struggle is trying to like write down what I'm going to talk about and try, like, I'm just better just talking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can talk for hours if I can just roll with it, but like trying to follow a timeline or something like that in front of a big crowd can be tough. And, you know, I talked to quite a few fishing shows where you have a crowd and you have to be able to read that crowd. I'm gonna give you some advice for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Every crowd is different. You know, we're going to talk about
yes, sir.
But maybe some of the people that stayed, and I've learned this, some of the people that stayed over from the last one, you know, they care about bass or crappie. So they're like, well, what's this guy talking about? And then I have been talking way overhead so many times where and then I talk about bumping or tying rigs or crimping or something, and they go, so how do you catch a big fish from the bank? And I'm like, oh, I got to slow down, back up. You know what I mean? So, and that's back to social media. Remember, every time, and like I said, I've learned this a long time ago, is just because I know how to tie a snell knot or crimp or whatever I do not think that the people that follow you know how to do that.
Yeah.
Always take the time and start from scratch.
Yeah.
You know,
you're exactly right.
That will help. That is the biggest key. If you take something from what I'm saying on social media, is there's people that fish my trail, have fished for a couple of years, and I notice there's things that they don't know how to do that I think that they should.
Yeah.
Like they just want to be a part of it, and they'll learn as time goes on. But like that's a big deal.
Yeah.
You know,
my biggest video out of all the videos I've done, over 1,000, is how 3 different ways to do a snell knot. And I mean, it's in the millions of views. There's a million snell knot videos out there. For some reason, I got some traction. And I've got a lot of knot videos. I put them out every year because people always come back to them. You know, they're like, well, are you making another knot video? And then for every person that says that, there's 20 people like, oh my God, I didn't know how to tie 2 pieces of line together, or, you know, oh, this is how you make one of them double hook rigs, that kind of thing. And yeah, you have to start at the very, very basic level. That's the education part. And if you can make it entertaining along the way, even better.
Exactly. And that's like, you know, Liz has been helping me a lot lately and doing, like, she's really got into the videos and all that stuff. And, you know, she has a lot of fun. But just like tonight, I don't know if you've seen the one with she had the fish flops on. I don't know if you got to see those or not, but it's again the value.
No.
You haven't seen it?
I don't think I've seen those. Was that in one of the shorts?
That was tonight, right before the podcast.
No, didn't see it. No.
So she had these ugly shoes, these like bass or crappie flip flops that she got a bass for. They're absolutely terrible looking. But anyways, it was just kind of funny. But you take all the videos from Twisted Cat or Rippin' Lips or my own that I've done, and if you put them all and you look at them and go, wow, this one got 25,000 views, and the next one, that's awesome video, but it only got 600. Well, I might have spent $1,000 on a video that I put a lot of time in. That's a really hype video, but it didn't talk about how I caught this fish with this bait and how I spot locked on a piece of structure.
Yeah,
that people learn about. So value. You know what I mean? Just like the 3 E's that you talk about. I mean, that's
Yeah, there's so many videos. My best videos, the ones that I actually show potential sponsors as far as what looks good and it looks all sizzle, really. It's got good music and sexy shots.
Yeah.
Those videos suck on the channel. Nobody cares about that. It looks good visually to somebody from the advertising world. But, again, me sitting here just talking about tying a knot, if it's, educating somebody and they can see it and they can understand you, that has way more value than something with a bunch of sexy images and cool music and quick cuts and all that kind of stuff. It's a different world, man. It's why the guys from TV struggle so much to make it on YouTube until they, I'm talking about the fishermen, the Hank Parkers and all those guys, until they kind of figure out finally, all that fancy stuff we did on TV, we don't have to do that here. Hank's best videos are him standing there in his garage, talking about, faith in God or, you don't need all these lures or, it's some of the simple stuff that actually people will sit there and just be captivated by. So yeah, it's a different world, man. It's not for everybody. Like I said in the beginning, it is not a space for everybody. Don't feel like you have to do it. But if you do, you've got to embrace it, man. You got to embrace it. You need to sign up for a long haul. It's like joining the military. When I joined up, got to commit to at least 4 years, 2 years, whatever the current enlistment is. It's not kind of let's try it for 3 weeks and see how it goes. You're not going to figure anything out that quick.
Yeah, if you make that dive in what I would say, like on Facebook or whatever if you're going to do it YouTube, if you're going to do twice a week or Facebook, I say you need to do at least once a day, if not twice, maybe a reel or a vertical and a picture. But do that every single day with value. Put your heart into it and do it for 1 year. And I promise you, you're going to say, wow, that was awesome. And now look at the growth that I can have. And I think that's what's tough is people give up in 3 weeks or 3 days or 3 months and they didn't give it that time. But like you said, it's not for everybody. It puts your life out there. It's, I got to make a post as I'm eating dinner or I'm at my son's basketball game because it is a grind, period. I don't care if anybody that's in it knows, just like Julie said, most people don't understand the level of work it takes. And if you don't want that, don't do it.
And here's
but if you're wanting to try to get a pro staff, if you want to try to get a Sea Arc boat or PBO sunglasses or a rod, just don't worry about being first place at a Twisted Cat tournament.
Yeah.
Worry about the social, how to sell their product.
And another important thing that most people don't ever mention is it's lonely. It is a lonely pursuit. You may be around people at a tournament, be out people fishing, but it's a lonely pursuit because generally speaking, most people's spouse, significant other has no clue what you're talking about, what you're doing. They try to give a little bit of interest in it, but they kind of don't know. Your kids know a little bit of it, but they don't understand why you're not as big as Mr. Beast is, and you're nobody until you're as big as Mr. Beast. So they don't really care. And then people you talk to, they really don't have a clue. They, if you're pursuing it as an income source, most of them are thinking, it's just a nice little hobby that he does. So it's a lonely pursuit. It's a lonely battle. Your ups and downs, your highs and your lows, you're going to deal with them all yourself. Because when you try talking, unless you've got somebody that is also doing it, also in that social media space, nobody's going to have a clue what you're talking about.
Yeah. And other people will be mad on how much, and I try to get better at that. Like I said, I've got, my hands a lot of things with, Ripping Lips and Twisted Cat and Sea Arc. And, it is a grind talking on the phone, doing this podcast. I don't know how I've already forgot how it started, what the premises was behind it. But, I'm going to start a podcast. We'll do it every other Monday or however that works. And it grew. And then I remember the first, I was hardcore every Monday, having some people on and really diving in. And it was a slow start. 10 people watch it. 10 people say, oh, why are you doing that? That's stupid. And then 6 months later, I missed a Monday, like I was traveling or something. I was getting messages like, hey, where are you at? Why are you not doing your podcast? Like, I've been waiting on it. I'm like, what? Really?
Yeah.
Like, it might only been 3 people, but like, people are getting value. And then I hear that you might not see me watching it Monday night, but while I'm at work, it's in my earpod or AirPod.
Yeah.
Like, wow, you're really like, because I can't, I will not watch this afterwards because I do not watch lives. I don't watch stuff that's been recorded. So I don't even know how this all sounds at the end, but like, that's crazy that people actually care what Alex and Dieter are talking about. You know what I mean? So
yeah, it's humbling. It's very humbling. And it's humbling when, and I'm sure you've had it happen, you reach somebody and it really touches them, whether it be something with a kid, reminds them of their father who's gone or something, and you get one of those emails where somebody pours their heart out in this email, and you're like, holy cow, I didn't get into this to have that kind of impact. I just want to show somebody how to tie a knot and,
yeah.
put a sinker on a line.
And as Twisted Cat Outdoors is a tournament trail at heart, it's also a brand that I want to do a podcast. Liz and I fish competitively as much as I can, and I want to show people what I do. I don't hide stuff. And I have people that come to the tournaments to watch and say, hey, nice to finally meet you in person. I watch your podcast. I'm like, this is crazy. Like that you watch I'm thinking this crappy podcast I do Monday nights talking about whatever, and you're getting value, and you actually spend your Monday night not watching Monday Night Football, but maybe watching this. And then that's pushed me to where, it gets to the point where now Rhett's 11 and he's got a basketball game an hour away at 8 or 6, or like, I got to start weighing, like, that's a tough call because I'm dove into this so hard where if I start missing a bunch of Mondays, that changes a lot of things. Yeah. And I know it's your kid and stuff, but this, it's when you go all in, you got to go all in. There is no,
Yeah. Cause I remember, I've had the chance to host some stuff on a regular basis. And it's, I couldn't do it. I mean, it's just doing something on a Monday, every Monday, committing to that is tough. It's a big, big, big commitment. And again, it's one thing if you got a big sponsor and they're basically paying you to be there. Well, mentally you can go, hey, this is a job. This is, we just work around. That's just the way it is. But it don't start out that way. You got to get to that point. So you're going to have to be doing it, like you said, talking to 2 or 3 people over there, and how many people are watching for a while, and get used to talking to yourself and the camera, and till you can get to that point. And it's all part of the battle, all part of the journey. So
yeah, and I think putting your mind in that gear where my mom and dad rode with me to this tournament in New Madrid, which was 5 hours from me, and I remember I was on the phone with probably 3 or 4 different people, but my phone it was constantly, we were on the phone. So my mom and dad couldn't talk much to me. And, that was the joke this weekend. My dad said, he's like, if you were on the phone the 5-hour drive, I mean, I'm getting gas, I'm on the phone, still on the Bluetooth, the phone's dinging and stuff. And it's just, it's just a part of it. You know what I mean? But you got to love it.
Driving's the best time to talk. It's like being in an office. You're like in that.
I know, but I also used to DJ. I love music. Like love. So here is my getaway now. So, and if I don't ignore people sometimes think that, hey, I called Alex, he didn't answer me, and he won't call me back. I mean, call me again. I'll call you back. But mowing, like when I go mow, I'll put my headphones on and I put my phone in my case, and I'm on a big 0 turn. So if they call, like, I can hit the ignore in a second. I don't even know who's calling me, so I'm not ignoring you on purpose. But that's like my getaway, which I know that sounds crazy. Like when I mow is about the only getaway or my peace I have.
I was doing it tonight. That's why I came in so late. I had to take a shower and stuff because I was on the mower. Belt broke on the mower, by the way. That's a pain in the butt. Got to fix that in the morning. But I put my AirPods in, and then I get on my Amazon Music, and it's usually Jason Isbell channel or something like that. And just go into my little zone. I got that type of music. That's kind of Americana kind of music in that world. And then when I go on my power walks and my hikes, that is when I've got the 90s alternative going. So two different streams there.
That's a
Man,
whole
how
different
did we get
script.
on that? How did we get on that tangent? That's a good one.
I think just talking about, you know, what it takes to go down that, you know, because that's one thing we talk about tonight is social media and building a brand, which is not easy. I mean, sometimes it sucks. It's work. It makes you want to throw it all in. And just like when I, you know, years ago at Twisted Cat, I mean, you're always going to have people that want to, unfortunately, the society we live in is people want to see people fail.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. We hate in others what we want most in ourselves. And that's just human nature. One of the interesting things, I thought about this a second ago, I should have said it, was, you know, I've done YouTube, you know, done that for a while. People kind of know where, you know, they've seen it or not seen it. And if I jump into a chat in most lives, somebody in there will know who I am. Okay. Not everybody, but somebody will. When I first got on TikTok, and this shows you how different these platforms are and how much they appeal to a different group of people, I started jumping in lives on TikTok, and people would be out fishing for catfish. And I would jump the live and was like, you know, hey, where you fishing at? And, you know, and just ask some questions about dumb questions just to see, you know, how they engage and how they talk about it. And it was rare that anybody had even heard of me, had ever seen my channel or anything. And then, you know, somebody would finally show up in there that I knew from YouTube, and they'd be like, oh, yeah, there's Dieter or something. But it's a totally different group of people in that world. And that says something to that bigger thing of what we're talking about in the tournament stuff too. Is like, it's this segmented world in the catfish world. There's some, you know, there's some of the younger people that I think are more on TikTok. That's what a lot of those were. And, you know, you got some on YouTube, you got people on Facebook that are watching a different world. And if you're going to do it in social media, you can pick one, nothing wrong with that. But I think to have the diversity, it helps to have a presence on all of them, whether it be the exact best presence or not. I think if you decide, hey, I want to make it on TikTok, you need to kind of focus on what works there. Whereas YouTube, you know, you kind of need to figure that out. So there you go. Love this.
Right there.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. What's funny is we're talking.
You just won one of my tournaments.
Oh, really? Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. It's funny when I started this, and I've said this before in some podcasts. I had this thing. It's like, okay, I feel confident I can make a channel pretty good. I can get people to watch some stuff, you know. But I always thought that the people watching would be somewhere else. It's so stupid. It doesn't make sense when I say it. But I always thought that I never really run into these people, that they were some magic internet people that were somewhere else. And when you start people start recognizing you and coming up to you. It's one thing to go to Catfish Conference. I mean, there's a lot of catfish people there. But when you're in the grocery store, in an airport, whatever, and somebody actually, it's like, holy cow, like you were saying, somebody's actually watching this stuff somewhere and, you know, paying attention to it. And I say all that to say, it has reined in, controlled, made me aware of, whatever you want to call the kind of content I put out. And part of that is because, you know, you got kids watching. I've had a bunch of people say to me, very flattering to me, that they'll let their kids watch any of my YouTube stuff. They said they're picky on other stuff. They know I'm not gonna, you know, come on there with anything stupid. It's why I had an opportunity with a beer maker company, nothing big. It was a small local brewery thing. And I've never wanted to do anything alcohol wise, because nothing against drinking. I've drank before. That's a whole nother podcast I'll tell you about. But I've said it's not a good influence on people. You know, it's a you use it in a good way. If you happen to get any leverage in the social media world, use it for the positive. That's the initial mission statement that Lyle Stokes asked me on Catfish Weekly when I was first on there. I think I had 500 subscribers, and he said, "What's the goal of your channel?" And I said, and it's still, I think, on one of my pages somewhere, to have a positive impact on the people that I reach with my content. That's simple.
And how many people do you have now?
I don't even know. Somebody asked me that on the Boy Scout trip. I don't even know. As I told him, I said, hang on, let me look. As I told him, I said, subscribers are for your ego, views are for your bank account. 113,000. So, guys got the little.
I have Twisted Cat has like 1,300. But I made a vow last year when I had like 300. Hey, I met a bet with Rhett, my son, and I said, hey, I'm gonna hit 1,000 in like 4 months or whatever.
Yeah.
And I did, and you know what I mean. But it's a grind, and like for me, with everything I have going on in life, Facebook is my focus. Facebook, and then I'm gonna try to get this YouTube stuff going. But you know, Facebook, I have a couple of pages that I run, and YouTube, I think I can do some stuff. It's just putting it together. But you know,
how are
it's
you
like
doing
I said.
How are you doing on Facebook with followers?
I think we're like at 20,000 on
Yeah.
Rippin' or on Twisted Cat, and probably close to that on Rippin' Lips. And
yeah.
But it's got a lot of views. It's a lot of reach.
Another one. The number looks good, but if you're not getting, you can still make most of your money's made with people that are not followers. Just like on YouTube, 72% of the money made on there comes from people who are not subscribers to the channel. It's just like that on Facebook. When you make money on a Facebook post, it's one that has reached past the people that are following you, that's gotten out into the community. When you start seeing the hater comments, no matter what you say, that's when you've got a good post and you're making some money on it. It's like I've said before, I could pull a baby, I could have video of pulling a baby out of the water and do CPR on the baby and save its life. And somebody would chime in with, I was doing CPR wrong, or I had the compressions wrong, and there's going to be something wrong in everything you do. So that's just the nature of the beast there.
Yeah,
hater
and I
comments,
think
that's right.
Hater comments. So on YouTube, I think I've made maybe 40. Tom might have to correct me if I'm wrong. Like $42, but I think you have to make 100 before you start getting paid. Is that right?
It seemed like there is some kind of payout threshold on it. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's some threshold. And anyways, I did get my Google AdSense thing in the mail that I had to put on the YouTube to like get qualified and all that. So hopefully someday as I get back on it, you know what I mean? I want to get to where I'm posting to, you know, videos that give value a week and you know, organically grow it. So we'll see. Maybe, hopefully we don't wait another year to do a podcast, but we'll see maybe in 6 months or a year where
you will do better and grow the channel more, not doing as many lives. There's a way to make money and parlay the lives into making money. But like with Catfish Weekly, you know, they've just kind of been, you know, you pick up a few people. It's hard to get traction with that kind of content as far as getting a lot of subscribers and a lot of views. And I don't know why that is. I don't know why you'll get a devout following on the people that watch it. But as far as growing the channel, I thought it was going to be, as soon as I was able to go live back in the day, I thought that was like the greatest thing in the world. But it's almost like YouTube throttles it back at some point. I'll do some lives to where, man, it does really good. You pick up 50, 60 subscribers, and you're like, oh, maybe this is the ticket now. And then you start doing a few more of them, and it's like it's throttled back or something. It doesn't get disseminated out as much as what it was. So yeah, I think you need the long tail content, the stuff that's going to sit there.
Yeah.
And the shorts. I'm gonna tell you, the shorts, you don't make much money on them, but they introduce people to your channel, and I believe teaches the algorithm more people that will watch your content. So, they put a short out there, somebody watches it a couple of times, they're like, oh, well, maybe this person over here, will like the long form stuff. We'll serve that out to them. I know that when I watch shorts from somebody, especially if I watch a bunch of them, I will start to see their long form content being suggested to me. So the old algorithm, it's smart. It's smart.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like I said, it's I'm gonna get back to doing 2 videos a week and getting some content. But like I said, it's a lot of work.
It is
a lot of work
it
to get
is
stuff out there.
If I make it to the Sea Arc Owners Tournament, are you going to fish it, or are you going to have to work it?
I'm gonna see if Steve will let me fish it, maybe, but most likely I have to probably work it.
We got to find some kind of side bet we can make on something, not just who catches it. It's got to be something a little better than the biggest fish. We got to come
well, we can do a bet on that, like on maybe what's gonna be the big fish, but maybe what day are you gonna? What would you come?
Oh, I don't know. This is just as I told Jake when he was buying the boat and going back and forth on buying it. He's like, I don't know if I'm going to do it. I said, dude, you got to do it. It's the only way I'll ever get the fish to Sea Arc Owners Tournament. So this is literally a week old and a week old thought. So, yeah, I don't know. I'd have to get out there early. I don't even know how to get to the place, so I wouldn't even know which way to go on the lake. I have to follow you.
I've done good at that lake. I've not won the Sea Arc tournament, but I have gotten, I think, third one year. One year I got third. The next year I got 193rd. That's just how the
humble.
Yeah,
that's it.
But hey, there was something that you said a little bit ago that I want to kind of hit back on just real quick. Is when we talk about tournaments and social media and the growth, and how you talked about the Megabucks win. And it wasn't just because Megabucks was that high entry fee, big payout, but the guys that won it are 3 YouTubers that have big followings, and that's a big deal. And that's where I was saying, I think in that video with Brian, is you take Bradley Cross, you take Micah and Spencer, and they ran a tournament trail, and they're fishing some tournaments. That takes everything to another level. That builds their brand in that world and in their YouTube world. And that shows the people that are just fishing tournaments. And there's nothing wrong. We have a lot of guys that they just love to come, drink a beer, eat a steak dinner, hang out, do a side bet, and see where they fit in the top boats or not. But there's also people that want to take it to the next level. And I think that's, those YouTube guys. And they really showed that at Megabuck. So
yeah, they did a good job. I was happy to see them do that good. And the cool thing is, you couldn't have better representation than them. I mean, they are just all a class act. And I've done podcasts with 2 of them. There's the Unknown Angler, as I think I referred to him, which I love his channel. I actually I tried to make amends. I did a little watch and react on one of his fishing videos. I actually love his channel. He's one that it's very simple stuff, but he's got a lot of good nuggets of information.
And he's growing very fast. So, and that's another cool thing. You talk about, whatever rods you use, or again, so Rip and Lip. So Bradley Cross is one of my affiliates, pro staff anglers. And we had Micah using Mad Cats and Spencer using Catch the Fever. So you had 3 different rod companies.
Yeah.
But they can still have fun and you know what I mean? That's cool.
Yeah, that was the cool thing about it, is that they all are like represent different rods. It was like they all have that's just funny. You don't hardly ever see that. I think that's one of the things that was refreshing about it, and what they did is that it was kind of all that, gotta have this, gotta have that, this is the best, all that kind of got put aside, and we're just gonna go catch the fish and have it.
Because the best salesmen don't have to talk about it. The fact that Spencer uses this, or Bradley uses this, or Burkhart uses this, and how they're, it's your brand, and that's what how you grow.
I love this question from Cole. Dieter, do you intentionally ruffle feathers? Some people say I'm a pot stirrer, and I say I am not. I take the pot and sit it on the stove, and then watch all of y'all fight for the spoon to get it stirred up. In all seriousness, I do. I have no problem taking on something that is somewhat controversial, and I have no problem saying what I believe. And I'm not a cheerleader for anybody. I'm not your rah rah. It's why you'll never see me in a Sea Arc. I'm not that guy that's a cheerleader. I'm honest on everything, and it's not that I'm trying to ruffle feathers. That's just me. That is just my brand and what I do. The good news is you're going to get an honest opinion on something. You're going to get the good and you're going to get the bad. And I even do that with the people that are sponsors on the channel. I'm honest and transparent about everything. I want that in people that I like, watch, and see. So I try to do that in myself.
Being real.
Now, as far as creating titles, thumbnails, all that stuff that gets attention, absolutely, 100%. If you can't do that, you might as well stay out of YouTube and social media because you'll never make it. That's just all part of the deal in that space. But yeah, ruffling feathers, I don't know. I think some of the stuff that I say can hurt some, maybe not hurt. Maybe some of it does hurt people. I don't want to hurt anybody, but I think it gets some people's attention. And they may not like hearing the truth. I try to be constructive with it. I'm not one of these people that believes just say what's on your mind as long as it's true. Listen, if there's a fat lady standing in front of you in a grocery store line, you don't tap her on the lady on the shoulder and say, "Hey, lady, you're fat." You're telling the truth. You're not lying about it. But an educated person in civilized world should have enough intelligence to know when to keep your mouth shut. So if it's something that needs to be talked about, needs to be addressed, we'll talk about it. But I think every time I've done that, I've had some type of solution, something that can make it better, something that can make it work. Trust me, there's a lot of stuff that I've had fed to me by some of y'all out there trying to get me to do a podcast about it that never sees the light of day, because some of it is just infighting and he said, she said, that there's no solution to. If somebody's saying this, somebody's saying that, that's just a squabble. That's like, Hatfields and McCoys. That's like two families fighting. You ain't gonna settle that stuff. But if it's something that's fixable.
When do you do a podcast? When do I get to go on your podcast?
I'm trying to think what would be a good time. I tried to tape one at CatCon. I think we have Souders. I got Chris Souders. He's a CR team member.
I don't know that you tried to get me at CatCon.
I did. I even came over to the table because Jeremy wouldn't get you. And I said, Jeremy's shunning me. So I came over there and you were busy with a bunch of people and you said you were going to get up with me. And then I think it was after that, Souders came over. And I finally got him back there. Souders is a good one. Souders, I'm not even going to tease y'all with what it's. Souders, I've always said, Chris, I respect him as a fisherman and as a human being. But I've always said he's just dry. He's just too nice.
He's a little dry.
He's just too nice. It's just too, and he's changed. And he gave me some stuff in that podcast that's good. He gave me some stuff that's good. And I wore his hat for a while somewhere around here. But anyway, he's changed. He shifted his game some. And I like the new Souders. I like him. He's changing something around. So maybe he's in a better space. But yeah, we had a good podcast. I'll get you on there.
What about CatCon? Is there going to be a CatCon this year? What have you heard?
Oh, there is a CatCon, but it's like in January. It's like the week after the. Is it the week after?
January.
Yeah. Yes, the week after the Alabama deal. So I think that's part
What's your
of the.
Thoughts? Do you think it's going to be a good CatCon? Do you think? I mean, I have not heard much about it.
I mean, my concern is it's bad enough having CatCon in February in Louisville because it's kind of dicey weather-wise. You start doing it in, second week of January, you're kind of into the bowels of winter there. It could really stifle how many people come. And it could, having it the week after that tournament down there, I mean, it depends how many people y'all get for that. Are they going to be pooped out not wanting to come, after tying up that time and everything? So I don't know. It's what'll be interested is if they go back to the February date next year. I think somebody forgot to book the place or something and it got gobbled up or something. I'm not sure what really happened there. It seemed like they had a nice little window that it was working. And last time I heard it was happening, I know Steve's got that other tournament thing he's doing in May, I believe, that World Championship of Catfishing or World Catfishing Championship. I swear I said it backwards. Yeah. One of those is backwards. But
so since you brought that up, what's your take on that? Listen, now we're 2 hours deep, but you did bring it up. I'm just curious.
Yeah. This was not planned for this. He did not give me stuff to feed in here. All right, so I'm going to be honest with you, and I've not done a podcast about this. And see, y'all, I do bite my tongue. Cole, I do bite my tongue and hold back on stuff. I'll just bring it out here. I watched the video that Steve and Damien, who I think won the tournament this weekend. Isn't he a part of that?
Yes.
And he made some comments in there that about if you talked bad about the tournament, you wouldn't be allowed to fish it, or they were making like a naughty list of people. And that kind of like rubbed me wrong. I was like, why are you stifling people trying to give you some criticism stuff? That kind of got me off to the wrong direction on it. But I don't know. I think what he's trying to create is, it sounds from what they were saying, something that's kind of got a build up, similar to what King Cat has, was doing. When I was fishing tournaments back in the day, King Cat was kind of that was the big one. You kind of had to win some regionals or whatever. You got qualified. You got to fish the King Cat Classic. And I think that's what they're trying to do with this, is to make it, I think, next year with some build-up qualifying tournament so that it is a Super Bowl, a college football championship, a World Series, whatever you want to call it, something to where you've got to play your way into it. And, this would be the World Championship of Catfishing. I think that's tough. I think it's tough. I think, as you know this probably better than anybody, making a tournament trail work in even like a smaller geographic area. I call yours isn't small, but it's regional. You try to do it nationwide, or at least in catfish country. That's tough. That's a lot. It's and it kind of goes back to, I think some people are going to be mentally burned from the ACA and that whole tournament thing they had going with, becoming a qualified tournament. Is that going to cost you money to become a qualified tournament? You got to pay some money into the kitty to be a part of this. So I don't know. I like Steve's enthusiasm for it. I like the fact, I think the biggest thing that has a big appeal is it's going to be an event, kind of like you and I have talked about before, to where, this is going to be a show. This is going to be a gathering. There's going to be something besides this catfish tournament for people to be there. And I think that is exciting and interesting. Coming from the production world, I know what that costs. And, that's going to take some money. And, I don't know how deep.
Well, I mean, two things as a promoter of doing this for so long is, number one, what we talked about all night is catfishing big enough to have a CatCon in January and then take those vendors back to Kentucky again in May to set up and be a vendor? we've been to a show in May, the Wally Marshall Crappie Big Expo, and he does an amazing job, probably the best I've ever seen putting an event on. But when you have, several major brands playing cornhole at Saturday at noon, that's a problem. And, back to the social media promotion. If you're not posting daily, beating it up, it won't be relevant. And I think that my hat off to him and Damien, and I hope they do well and it's successful and it's something that I can fish. But it's tough. It's tough. I mean, even for the pushback that I got at 1,000, I think the world championship is $1,500 for 2 people.
Yeah.
Compared to 1,000 for 3. So I think that's going to be a struggle too. But, I think, is registration opened yet?
I don't know. I haven't really looked into it all that deeply because that's a stupid busy time for me, that time of the year when all that happens. It's it's one of those that I'd love for something like that to get some traction and happen. It's just again, it's going to take some money from whoever that, the travel and tourism people there are going to have to pony up a lot of money, and then you're going to have to get some money, hopefully from some non-endemic sponsors to make that happen too, to make it that big of an event. But yeah, to your point with a CatCon, which I think they kind of got the formula down for that. I mean, they kind of, it's kind of they got a, they've got that figured out. Then you're jumping on this. There's a lot of work. And, I think he's got a rod holder company, and they sell nets and a whole bunch of other stuff too. So he's got a lot of stuff going on. And, it's a lot to chew. I am curious, the more I sit here and think of, CatCon, that's also right after Christmas and the holidays. And, is that going to have an impact on it during that time frame? So
I think it. I mean, again, I've not missed a CatCon in, was this 10 years? This most recent one, or this is 10 this year?
Might be 10 this year. Yeah.
Because I set up a Twisted Cat booth at that. What was that? The dealer, this boat dealer.
Oh yeah, that was the first year when they did it at was it Jones?
Jeff Jones Marine.
Yeah,
I was in the garage where I think they used to change oil in vehicles, and I mean, I had a tent set up where they like to lift with the car lift, and I had Cat River anchors there hanging, and I mean, I didn't know a single person, and nobody knew me, but I mean, that was that kind of the start of that, and I had missed a show since, and it's grown a lot, and I hate to see it. I hope it's a successful event this year.
Yeah. Because I had not been. This year was the first year I'd been back, I think, in 2 years, because we just had all kinds of stuff going on. So that's that could be a good weekend. That could be a bad weekend. All depends what happens with some college football stuff. But I'd love to.
I think
go.
Yeah, I think, and also the event. I mean, we gave 20 boats their money back because of a bad weather storm that came in from Kansas. So Kansas and all those people, they left early to get home, and some of them still didn't beat the weather, and we had to stay till Tuesday before we could even go home because the roads were closed.
Yeah.
So
that's into that window where, pretty much the snow belt is, the snowy part of the country is getting snow. And that's where we, even in the Southeast, that's about that time frame when stuff starts to happen here. So that can, I mean, I drove through snow last year getting there. It was kind of a pain in the butt with the coming across the mountain and stuff, with stuff closed from Helene. We had to go a bunch of back roads. So I think that could hinder it. But I think that just being so close to Christmas, coming off the holidays, people taking time off and being gone, and you're kind of back into the new year. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. I think the show's a great show. It's always fun to go, and I just wish it was warm. I just wish they do it when it was warm somewhere.
They just do it in June or something, or on a beach somewhere. That's like Steve always talking about doing it on a beach.
Should it be a part of the tournament, the World Catfishing Championship? Should it all just happen then? Because I know they're going to have an expo at that show, but it's not CatCon. Should that just be all of it in one? That just seems like a good way to.
I mean, how King Cat did the same thing last year, correct? They did a expo / tournament in Owensboro.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was successful. I don't know. But you have to have all the people there. I mean, it's still a small sport. There's a lot of the people that fish the tournaments run a company or own a company, and it's
Oh, dude, it's when you think about that, especially some of those smaller people. I'll see Josh Roth in here. He's saying $900 for a booth. If you're just a smaller person that's getting a normal size booth, not one of these great big huge ones, and you're just trying to sell $3,000 to just break even, or by the time you factor in a few nights lodging, some food, gas getting there, God knows how much that is, especially if you're pulling a big trailer and stuff. It's almost turns into a break even proposition for you. You have to go through a lot of stuff, and it's one thing if you're big, if you're a Catch the Fever, Catfish Pro, Catfish, and you got a massive booth with a lot of inventory, a lot of different stuff. But if you're somebody small, man, that's a lot. That's a lot to bite off. So
yeah. And talking to a lot of these companies, I think the social media, the affiliate marketing from TikTok and everything, so many people are buying stuff through their people, that the shows have gone down. People are not buying as much at the shows or in retail stores as they are through online.
Yeah.
I mean, I just bought. We all do it. I mean, I buy stuff on TikTok, flashlights, goofy stuff here and there, T-shirts. I mean, look at this here.
Very cool.
I mean, there's all sorts of weird stuff you can buy on TikTok. So
that's funny.
I don't know. It'll be interesting. I mean, I'll be there if it happens.
Yeah, I just hope the weather.
And I'm gonna be there for a podcast for sure.
Yeah, we'll do a podcast before then. We've got to find a good topic to talk about. I got to find something that's I'll find something. Yeah, I'll think of something to talk about.
Yeah. Well, hey, 2 hours and 15 minutes. That's incredible.
And what do we have?
Probably go a lot longer, but
what do we have? 4 viewers? I didn't even look at how many people were in there.
We had 11 people watching, so 11's not bad.
There you go. Who knows how many totally came in and out and left. They saw me and then clicked out of it, so it might kind of bite into your views a little bit there. But
well, hey, thank you so much for being on. I'm glad we got to chat about things. I think we brought value to people that, whether there's people on here chasing conservation, chasing tournaments, social media. I think that we gave them a little bit of advice on everything, and we'll have to maybe here in a couple months we'll have you back on and kind of see where things go, and hopefully we find that tournament angler / social media star that comes through and makes it big and blows the sport up and gets those Chevrolets and non-endemic sponsors in the sport.
That'd be awesome, dude. Thanks for having me, man. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. All right. Well, everybody, thanks for watching, and we'll be on here next Monday night with. Hopefully I can find another special guest, half as great as Dieter Melhorn, Captain Dieter Melhorn. So, all right, everybody have a good night. We will see you.